This tutorial will cover the last area in the menu, production, which pertains to what you need to do to get the film into production. Crew is split by department to make it easy to add or find a role or crew member. A standard list of departments is already provided, but you can easily add more or change the name of any department. To add a department, just click Add Department. To edit a department, select the department and then click Edit Department. To see a list of roles within the department, select Roles. A default list of roles is also provided, which can be added to or amended as well. When editing a role, you can enter the daily rate and flag whether this crew role is required for the film. To add a crew member, go to Members, select Add New Member and fill in their details, including any dietary requirements, which is the same as on actors. If you have their image, you can upload it here and it will appear on the call sheet to help identify people on set. You can add multiple members for each role and assign multiple roles to individual members. To do this, find the other role, click Add Existing Member and select the crew member from the list. The budget operates in two modes. Initially, it works as an exploratory budget, allowing you to adjust the number of days you think it will take to shoot, and then how many days each individual item will be required for. If you have uploaded a script in a format other than Final Draft, then the number of days will default to 30, as the script does not contain enough information to calculate this, but you can easily change it to a more appropriate number using the slider. The number of days for each item is initially calculated as a percentage of the number of scenes they appear in. So here the corpse is only in one scene, and there are 3 scenes, so it is a third of the total number of days. Currently, Filmanize uses the Bec2 rate card for crew and the Equity rate card for actors. These rates are determined by the initial budget you entered when uploading the script. The higher the budget, the higher the rate. You can adjust the rates on this page and click Save to store them. They can also be updated for an individual character or crew role. You can expand and contract the sections, and when saving, it will store which sections are expanded, so when you come back to the page, the same sections will be expanded. If an item is being bought or made, then it has a fixed cost, and so has no option to adjust the number of days. The second budget mode is activated once you have shooting days, which we'll come on to next. In this mode, the actual number of days something is required for is used, rather than your estimate. You can still reduce the number of days to see what the budget would look like if you could fit the schedule into fewer days, but you would need to remove an actual shooting day for the budget to accurately reflect the real cost. Once you are happy with the budget, you can download it. Initially, shooting days is empty and waiting for as much information about the film to be entered as possible to give Filmanize the best chance of creating an optimized shooting schedule. First of all, go to the Settings section to set up the times you want to use for each shooting day. The times can be amended for individual dates, but by choosing the times that are going to be used for most days, you'll save having to adjust more days than needed. Once this is done, check that you have entered all the page lengths and thus the shoot days for each scene. How to do this was covered in Tutorial 3, so please refer to that to adjust these. Then head back to Shooting Order and select Smart Days. This will present you with a shooting schedule, which you can adjust by dragging and dropping scenes between days or reordering the days themselves. Scenes that will take longer than a day to shoot will be split over multiple days, as you can see here. You can add days if you think the shoot will take longer than Filmanize has calculated. If you think it will take fewer days, then you can remove all scenes out of a day and then delete it. You can create the shooting schedule without locations, but it works best if you have assigned locations to scene settings. Currently, as Filmanize is going through the scenes, if the next scene is at a different location, then Filmanize will start a new day, but this will be improved in a future version, making Filmanize look at time to travel between locations. You can come back here and redo Smart Days if you change any of the scene lengths or location, but this will delete any days you have manually changed. You can also clear out all the days by clicking Delete All. Reset scene shooting days can be used if you change the default number of days you can shoot in a day within your settings and want to apply that setting to this film. It will adjust the shoot days for all scenes, so if you have entered any manual lengths, then these will be lost. Once you have your order finalized, you can head to the calendar and pick which dates you want to shoot on. If you don't know the actual dates yet, you can skip this section and still continue to edit the individual days. You can deselect any days of the week you won't be filming on, and the shoot days will fit around that. It is best to start by setting the date of the first date you are likely to shoot on, then all the remaining days will follow that. You can then adjust the other days manually. Hovering over the day gives you a summary of what is being shot in that day to help remind you. Once you save this, the dates will appear in the menu. To edit an individual day, select it from the menu. Here you can update times, schedule, select which actors and crew are required, check the weather, and generate and send the call sheet. The times default to the ones set before using Smart Days, but you can easily adjust them. You can also add notes, which will appear on the call sheet for the day. Shot list schedule looks a bit scary at first, but only because it contains a lot of useful features. The end result is a list of time slots showing either a crew event or a list of shots you want to achieve. This page only really works if you have shots, so if you haven't added any of those yet, you will want to go back to the scenes and add those first. For example, you might want to start with a crew task of setup at the call time of 0800. You then might want a time slot to shoot some shots in the alley, so add that. Once you have a time slot, you can then drag and drop shots into that slot, but only shots that match the scene setting you allocated the time slot for. The quick selection allows you to pick similar shots to help maximize efficiency on set. For example, you might want to select all the shots that use the same lens to minimize changing lenses. Or you might want to do all the dolly shots to get them out of the way before switching to a tripod. Alternatively, you might want to do all the shots with a particular actor in case they can't be there for the whole day. Once the items are selected, you can drag the group into the time slot. Any shots you decide you don't want in a particular time slot can be dragged to another one, or just removed, and it will return to the list of shots on the left. You can then download this shot list as a PDF, or email it to yourself ready to send to anyone in the camera department who might need it. Scenes shows which ones you have selected to shoot in this day. You can adjust the page length if you are not going to be shooting the whole scene that day. Based on which scenes are being shot this day and the characters in those scenes, Filmanize will select the actors playing those characters as required and set the call and onset time based on the overall day settings. Actors will receive a customized call sheet with their individual time appearing at the top, which you can adjust if an actor is not needed until later in the day. The same functionality applies to background actors as it does to actors. The crew section shows a list based on the required crew that Filmanize pre-selected based on your initial budget, and any changes you made to that. If on a particular day you won't be needing a role, you can deselect it and they won't appear on, or receive a copy of the call sheet. If you have more than one member doing the same role, you can select whether they will be needed on this day or not. For example, you might have a camera person for some days and a different one on others. You can also adjust the individual call times for each role, and as for the actors, the call time will appear on the individual's call sheet. You can also add notes to each department, which will appear on the call sheet. The camera department automatically gets the camera settings entered in the film section in their department section. Locations gives you an overview of which locations you will be shooting at on this day. If any information needs changing, then head to that shooting location to make the adjustment. For each shooting day, you can get a daily weather forecast if it is within the next 2 weeks, and an hourly forecast if it is within the next 3 days. Soon, Filmanize will store what the actual weather was on a shooting day so you can look back for reference. Catering combines the dietary requirements of the actors and crew that have been selected as needed for this day. You can send this to your catering team, or it can also be included on the call sheet if you want. The call sheet is where all the hard work comes together. you can select which sections you would like to include in the call sheet. There are a lot more section options than a traditional call sheet, but things like props can help you remember which ones you need for this shooting day. You can also select which elements of the weather you would like to include. For example, if you are using a drone, then the max wind speed will be important to see if it can operate in the conditions. These options will apply across all the shooting days, so you only need to do it once. Once saved, you can download it to make sure it fits your needs before sending it to all actors and crew. By default, this is set up to be done manually, but you can also make each call sheet send automatically by heading to the film section and selecting this option. You can decide how many hours in advance of the call time you'd like the call sheet to be sent out, be that the night before or a couple of days in advance. That wraps it up for the Filmanize tutorials. If there are any sections where you'd like us to go into more detail, then let us know and we'll include these in future tutorials.